Excellent. Okay. What else? All right, for class today, not gonna need any extra props or anything like that, just yourself and the mat. Oh, and we actually have a theme today. I know a lot of times I say I have a theme, but I go off on the rails and do something else. I'm actually gonna stick with it today. Today's theme is rotations. We're gonna be doing a lot of twisting in different ways. The big overarching correction I'm going to give before we even move is the following. No matter how we're twisting or what position we're in, here's the really basic thing to keep in mind. If we are doing a twist, let's say we're twisting our upper body, like our head, neck, and shoulders, whatever the other half of your body is, right, the lower body in that case, make sure it maintains squareness. Right? Same thing if I'm twisting my lower body, I want to try and maintain a square upper body, right? Otherwise you don't actually get rotation and you're cheating, which is bad. Cheating is bad. So regardless of the position, the exercise, yada yada, keep that in mind. It will always be applicable. The other thing that sort of goes along with that is you can always take a twist out of something. We're going to be doing a lot of progressions today per usual. So if a next piece of the progression is too much, too intense, uncomfortable, whatever, just don't do it. Do the previous one. Yeah, you can always do a little less and it's still just as good for you. That's enough of that. Let's get started. So we're gonna start on our backs today. We're actually gonna stay there for probably like the first third almost of class for a variety of things. So the first thing we're gonna do is just lie down. Neutral spine on the floor. Knees bent, feet flat, arms long by your side. Now, as always, regardless of what we're going to be doing, just like to take a moment to simply breathe, like check in with yourself. Take a few breaths in and out. Feel how you take an inhale and it kind of naturally expands your center a little bit. And then when you exhale, feel how your center naturally compresses a little. And you're just gonna feel that alternation between expansion and compression as you breathe in and out. It should almost feel as if there's a corset inside of you that gets tightened a little bit with each exhale, right? It's your abdominal wall. It actually does work and function just like a corset. So the very first thing we're going to do is just a little stretch to get that idea of twist in the body. So you're going to take your right leg, just cross it all the way over your left, knee over knee, or as close to that as you can. Now you're going to twist your legs and your hips over to the right. So right off the bat, that note I gave, very applicable. So you're going to keep your upper body, in particular your chest and your shoulders, square to the ceiling, or you can think about them being glued to the floor. That way your lower body rotates, your upper body stays square, and you get that nice sense of twist in your lower back. Good, now just reset your legs back to center and switch over to the other side. Cross your left over your right and twist. So for this side, you're going to keep your right shoulder firmly anchored to the floor. Take a couple of those nice, deep, gentle breaths while we're here in the twist. And then reset your legs back to center. Once that left foot is back down, we're going to get into a windshield wiper series. Here's how this goes. You're going to put your legs completely together. So you should feel your feet touching, knees, inner thighs, everything connected. Now, as far as your hands are concerned, just leave them by your side. However, you're going to start to push your arms into the floor. Not just the palms of your hands, but all the way up to the back of your shoulder. You want to press that down. It's going to help keep you stable. We're going to take our first set. We're going to keep the feet down on the ground. And again, just let the legs and hips twist to the right. Now your opposite foot, in this case your left foot, is going to peel off in order to keep your knees together. Now, just use your obliques to reset your legs through the center and then immediately twist over to the left. Pretty simple, pretty easy breezy. and then you're gonna go side to side. Now, it probably still feels like you're more in a stretch kind of world than an exercise kind of world. That's exactly what it should feel like. It's just a different version in a way of that stretch we started with, but as we add on to this movement, it's gonna turn into less of a stretch and more into like a full-on oblique exercise. So let's take one more to the left, so we're even. Pause with your legs reset in the center. First variation, you're gonna lift your knees up over your hips and find what I call a floppy tabletop. Just means that you get your knees over hips, but you let your lower legs stay relaxed. And then you're gonna continue to twist. It's the same movement. The difference now, we've taken your feet off the floor, so it takes a little more abdominal strength in order to control that twist of your lower body. See if you can maintain the same range of motion, right? The same degree of twist to each side, but ultimately keep that anchored feeling in your upper body, right? Keeping those shoulders glued to the floor. Let's do one more, right and left. Make sure you're breathing. Pause with your legs back in the center. Next version, you're simply gonna lift your lower legs up to a tabletop position. So you're creating a 90-degree angle behind your knees, and then continue to twist, right and left. We're just gonna do about 2 to each side. Changing the position of the legs just creates more sense of weight, right? Makes your legs feel heavier. It feels like you're moving more weight around. It makes your obliques work even harder. To the left. Now we're going to turn this into what's called a can-can. So twist back over to the right and hold it. Now extend your lower leg out on the diagonal. Bend the legs back into tabletop, and then go through the center, repeat to the left. Now I'm going to have a wall in my way, so I can't really show the left side very well. But same thing, you're going to extend the legs in your twist, bend them back into tabletop, and then pass through the center. Again to the right, twist. Extend your legs, keep your left shoulder glued to the floor. Bend, through the center, over to the left again. Don't watch me for the left side, you're not going to see very much. Let's do one more to each side. Over to the right, extend your legs. And then through the center, over to the left, extend your legs. Good, back into the center. Last part we're gonna do here is just like a full-on windshield wiper with straight legs. So you're gonna straighten both legs up towards the ceiling. Option to flex your feet or point them. I usually flex just because it's kind of my default, but make whatever choice you want. And we're gonna do 2 more rotations to each side. So you're gonna go as far as you can to the right without feeling like you're gonna tip over, and then come through the center over to the left. All the same rules apply as the other variations. You're trying to give you the maximum range of motion in this rotation that you can, while maintaining that square and anchored upper body. Last time to the left. Good. Once your legs are center again, go ahead and just hug them really, really quick in towards your chest. Take a nice big breath in and out. And then let your legs go and let them straighten underneath you on the mat. Maybe wiggle yourself away from your coffee table a little bit. Gotta negotiate with the furniture. All right, once you're lying down, you're gonna take your right leg only, grab onto the top of your shin, hug it in towards your chest. Just give it a nice tight squeeze for a second, and then you're gonna lengthen it up towards the ceiling, just the right leg. Again, I love a flexed heel. You can keep a relaxed ankle for this, or even point your foot. Now, take both of your hands and grab behind your right thigh. We're gonna do a quick hamstring release. You're gonna want it for the next couple exercises. So you're gonna keep your leg as straight as you can, and then push it into your hands, essentially to make your hamstring activate, right? Now you're gonna hold that tension, hold that push for about 3, 2, 1, and then just relax, let go of the tension, and pull your leg in a little closer. And then just do that one more time. Push your leg into your hands, Hold it, 3, 2, 1. Release the tension, and then pull your leg a little closer in. Very quickly, we're just gonna take the right leg down and do the same thing to the left side. Pull the knee in, give it a nice deep hug. Feel the front of your hip flexor relax. And then release your leg up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna go with flexed heel again so I'm even. Grab behind your thigh, push your leg into your hands, create that tension, make sure your hamstring has turned on, and then hold it for 3, 2, 1, relax, pull it a little closer, and then repeat one more time. Push and hold. 3, 2, 1, relax, pull it in. Good, soften the left leg down, bring the right one back up. Again, lengthen it towards the ceiling. For this one, I am gonna dictate a flexed foot on this one. I just think it's much more helpful. So you're gonna really reach your heel up towards the ceiling if you aren't already. Now you're gonna keep your right arm down by your side and take your left arm up towards the ceiling. Make sure that you keep your left shoulder glued down to the floor. Now push your right arm into the ground and push your left leg into the ground. That's all gonna help stabilize you as you reach arm and leg away from each other towards the floor like so. And then nice big exhale to bring your limbs back up towards the ceiling. Just 2 more like that. Inhale, reach arm and leg away from each other and lift. 1 more, reach and lift. Good, now we're gonna add another element. Once your arm and leg lift your head and shoulders off the mat. It's almost like you're reaching your left hand to your right foot. Just gonna hold that very briefly and then roll yourself down and repeat that 2 more times. So you go arm and leg and then head and shoulders. Back down. 1 more, arm and leg, head and shoulders. And back down. Now we finally add a twist to this. Arm and leg, head and shoulders. Now rotate your upper body on the diagonal, like you're reaching your left hand to the outside of your right foot. And then take it down and do that 2 more times. So you go arm and leg, head and chest, and then rotate. Take it down. 1 more, arm and leg, head and chest, and then rotate. Take it down. Now lift your right leg back up. Grab behind your leg again. We're not doing the stretch, this is something different. It's called climb a tree, and you'll see exactly why in a moment. You're gonna start this one by lifting your head and shoulders. Yeah, very straightforward abdominal curl. Just come about halfway up, like you're pressing your bottom ribs both into the floor and also reaching them long towards your hips. Now you're gonna take yourself even higher. Yes, with your abdominals, but also by walking your hands up the back of your leg. You're gonna get as high as you can while maintaining that nice C curve shape in your body. And then you're gonna try and straighten your back out like so. It's almost as if you're reaching your sternum towards your right foot. The goal here is to have as straight a back as possible. Excellent. Now you're going to simply curve your back, walk your hands down, and repeat. Take a nice inhale at the bottom and then exhale, curl. Once you get about halfway up, start to walk your hands up the back of your leg. And then straighten the back out as much as possible. Curve the back, roll it down. Keep the touch on your leg as light as possible, so that it's more abdominal than arm that's taking you up. 1 more. Walk up the leg, straighten it out. Now from here, we're gonna add our twist. Keep your left hand holding on, take your right one off, and you're gonna twist open, like so, courtesy of the last vinyasa class I took. Now you're gonna center yourself, grab on with just your right hand, so you can take the left one off and counter rotate to the other side. 2 more to each side. So we open up, reaching the right arm back, and then open up, reaching the left arm back. Make sure you're really breathing into that twist. Nice exhale as you start to rotate. Last time, opening the left arm back. Center yourself, curve the spine, control yourself down with your abdominals. Excellent. Once you're lying down, just go ahead and release your right leg, shake it out. And we get to repeat that all over again on the left side. Whoa. Take your left leg, draw it up towards the ceiling, flex that heel. Good, keep your left arm down, take your right arm up towards the ceiling. Make sure you glue your shoulder down to the floor. Take an inhale, reach arm and leg away from each other. And then exhale, lift. For 2, exhale. And 1, exhale. Good, now we add the head and chest, reach and lift, curl, reach your hand towards your foot. 2 more like that, exhale, lift. 1 more. Now we add that rotation 3 times. Lift the head and chest and then reach across the body. For another 2. And 1. Good, now keep that left leg up, grab behind the thigh so we can start our climb a tree. Drop your chin to your throat, lift your head, lift your shoulders, come about halfway up first, then walk up the back of your leg. Then straighten the back out as much as possible. Reach your sternum towards your toes. Curve the back again, walk down the back of the leg, and arrive back on the floor. 2 more, exhale, head, shoulders, peel yourself off the ground. Remember to keep that touch as light as you can on your leg. Extend the chest. Curve, control yourself back down. Theoretically, you don't even need the hands. Yeah, they're just there as a little support system. Last one, curl. Hands walk up, back, straightens long, and then we do our rotations here. Take your left arm first and reach it back. Switch, right arm reaches back. 2 more on each side, left arm and right arm, exhaling into the twist. Yeah, use your eyes here, actually, like watch your hand as it opens. It's just gonna help encourage that twist a little bit deeper. Last time, opening to the right, and then walk down the leg. Excellent. Good, let the left leg go, shake it out. From here, we're gonna do a little spinal extension. So all you have to do is flip yourself over onto your stomach. You're gonna take your hands, stack your right over your left, and then put your forehead down on the back of your right hand, like so. Good. Now I'm gonna talk you through this next bit, just so I'm not talking into the floor so much. But once you've got your forehead resting down on the back of your right hand, you are going to do a little bit of organization with your lower body, and it's all a protective measure for your spine. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure that your legs are parallel and hip distance apart behind you. Now from there, you're going to do the world's smallest tailbone tuck, just to engage your low abdominals and get your pelvis neutral. From there, very gently press both hip bones towards the floor, and then finally lift your abs up a little bit as if you were trying to bring your belly button a millimeter off the floor. Once all of that has happened, theoretically, you're good, you're set, your spine is happy. Now we get to do the actual exercises. So the first thing you're gonna do is simply lift your head and chest up off the floor and just find a hover. Now you're gonna keep your right hand glued to your forehead and keep your left one down. It's a little weird. It's gonna seem like a strange type of salute at first. And then you're simply gonna lower down and do that 2 more times. Lift the head and chest, maintain all that support we set up in the lower body, and then go down. 1 more, plain and simple in the center, and down. Now we're gonna add our twist. So you're gonna lift, and once you're in your hover, twist towards your right as if you're reaching your right elbow towards the ceiling. And then center yourself before lowering down. Do 2 more. Lift, twist open, center, and down. 1 more time. Lift, open, center, down. And then finally, we're just gonna do 4 consecutive twists once we're up there. So you're gonna hover the back and then just twist 4 and 3, 2, and 1. Lower your back down and switch your hands. Give your hips a little shake side to side just for a second. Take out any tension that might have crept into the position. And then reorganize the lower body like we did before, right? Nice long legs behind you, little tailbone tuck just to bring you into neutral, little pelvic press, little ab lift. Your forehead should now be on the back of your left hand, and we're just gonna repeat the same thing to that side. Lift, just hover the head and chest, and lower. Exhale, 2, and lower. Last 1, 3, and lower. Now we add the rotation. Lift. Good. Open your left armpit up towards the ceiling and lower down. 2 more. Lift, open, center, and down. 1 more. Lift, open, center, down. Now we do 4 consecutive rotations. Lift and rotate for 4 and 3, 2, 1. Lower down. From here, you're going to take your hands out from underneath your forehead, and they're going to come onto your lower back. You can rest 1 cheek down on the floor. Doesn't really matter which one, but you'll be looking off to the side. Excellent. The first thing we're going to do here is clasp the hands together. You're going to interlace the fingers like you're making a giant fist with both hands. Now reach your arms down towards your heels. It should create a nice stretch in the front of your shoulders, and when you feel that, you're just going to continue to lengthen up to that hover. Good. Now switch your face over to the other side and simply lower down so you have the other cheek on your mat. And then repeat that 3 more times. So you're going to reach, you're going to feel that stretch in the shoulders, going to lift, switch your face, and lower down. Immediately 2 more. Reach, lift, switch, and down. Now for this last one, you're going to reach and lift, and then stop when your focus gets to the center. Should almost be like you're looking towards the front edge of your mat. Now we're going to do a series of simple hamstring curls. So you're going to curl your right heel in towards your glute. You're going to feel that hamstring squeeze real tight, and then pulse it for 4 sets of 3. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3. Switch legs. Curl your left heel in, contract your hamstring, and pulse 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4. Now simply curl both heels in, and last time. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and 4. Lengthen your legs down. Take your body down. Release your hands from behind you. Place them underneath your shoulders. And push your butt all the way back onto your heels. Find a child's pose. Let your forehead rest down on your mat and widen your knees as well so that your torso can just sort of fall between your legs. We're gonna take a big inhale, exhale in the center. And then we're gonna do a little twist here as well. Take your right hand and then feed it all the way underneath your left until your right shoulder rests on the mat. And you're gonna keep that left arm reaching forward. Big breath in and out. Excellent. Same thing to the other side. Untwist and then feed your left arm underneath the right. Let that shoulder rest down. Keep the right arm reaching long and forward and breathe in and out. Good. Back to the center, both arms reaching forward. And then you're just gonna shift your weight forward to your hands and knees. Good. All right, as always, wanna have the hands right underneath our shoulders and our knees right underneath our hips. So my usual disclaimer, right, when we get to this point, we're gonna be spending quite a bit of time on the hands. Always put, as much as you can, even weight through the whole hand, so not just into the crease of your wrist, but through your palm, your fingers, your fingertips, all that good stuff. So once you're on the hands and knees, we're gonna take a few cats and cows to start, as always. So you're gonna take an inhale to prep, and then exhale, contract your abdominals up towards the ceiling, tuck your tailbone under, and round your head forward. Now inhale and exhale into the next position, which is that nice long arch, aka cow. And then again, you're gonna exhale into that nice big contraction, the high dome, the cat. Inhale, exhale, arch. So, as I always love to do, we're gonna be exhaling through the transition, and then just taking that inhale into a little moment of stillness, so you can catch the next exhale to change. Let's do one more of each. Exhale, abs up. Inhale, exhale, abs long. From here, just gonna set back up in your neutral, right? Using what we call a flat back, but just not actually flat. So from there, we're gonna start to twist. I'm gonna turn myself to this side so I can actually show it without punching my wall. You're gonna take your right arm and just reach it straight out to the side, like a half T position. From there, push into the ground with your left hand and rotate open, reaching your right arm as much as you can towards the ceiling. Now, don't just make it about the arm, it's much more about the torso, right? So if there was a light on your chest, you should be trying to shine it up to the sky. Now you're gonna go the opposite direction. Take your right arm, feed it underneath the left, and try and reach to the opposite side. It's important on this direction not to drop your shoulder to the floor. It's very different from the stretch we did a moment ago. You're gonna try and keep your back lifted, and then alternate 2 more times. So we're gonna open and spiral under. 1 more, open and spiral under. Now come back out to that half T, and then extend your left leg behind you, tucking the toes under, right? This is one of those moments where it's a bit of a progression, right? You can always go back to the original version if something is too intense or unstable. And then again, we twist open 3 times. We're gonna go 3, and twist under that left side, and 2, and twist, and 1. And twist. Good, back out to the half T. Now, lift your left toes off the floor. See if you can get that leg to about hip height. Just balance for a moment, find that balance. And then again, twist open for 3. And spiral. Good, and 2. Make sure you're breathing. 1. Excellent. Find that half T just for a final moment so you know you're square to the floor, and then put your knee and your hand back down. Switch over to the other side. I'm going to turn myself around again for wall purposes. Obviously you don't have to unless you also have a wall in your way. Take your left arm out to the side, and we get to do it all over again, starting with both knees down, twist open towards the ceiling, and then feed the left arm underneath your right side. Another 2. And 1. Come to the half T for a pause. Reach your right leg back, tuck the toes under so they're still on the floor. And repeat, open 3. Spiral under. 2. And 1. Pause in the half T. Now find your balance if you're taking it. And finish it out with another 3. Exhale. Keep the breath going. 2. And 1. Nice. Pause in the half T just to square yourself off, and then you can put your knee and your hand down. Good. Take a quick counter stretch for the wrists. All you're gonna do is sit a little further back towards your heels, and then you're just gonna flip the wrist so it's bending the opposite direction. Do this very lightly. You don't want to put any like real weight on there. It's just a counter movement for the wrist. Yeah, shouldn't be uncomfortable or anything. You just do it really quick each side, because we're not done on the hands yet. All right, shift forward back onto your hands and knees. We're gonna do a couple more elements here before we get into some planking. So the first thing we're gonna do is called a serratus push-up. It's nothing like a regular push-up, so don't freak out. All you're gonna do is let your shoulder blades come towards each other behind you, like they were trying to pinch together. And then you're gonna push into the floor and widen them out. And then repeat, in and out. So every time the shoulder blades go towards and away from each other is 1 rep. So there's no bend in the arm, unlike a traditional push-up. It's all about the shoulders moving in and out. Now for these last few, make sure that you're not turning it into just like another cat-cow kind of stretch. It's not about the whole back moving. In fact, quite the opposite. You gotta keep that back really stable and just allow yourself to float down and up between your shoulders. Let's say 1 more. Good, now find a happy medium between those 2 extremes, so just a neutral shoulder position. And the second element we're gonna add here is a knee hover. It's exactly what it sounds like. Tuck your toes under behind you if they aren't already, and simply lift your knees 1 to 2 inches off the floor. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Slowly bring your knees down. Take an inhale at the bottom and do the same thing again. Lift your knees up, hold it, 3, 2, 1. Take them down. All right, on the next one, we're gonna add our serratus push-up. We're gonna do a set of 8. Lift your knees, hover, and move your shoulders for 8. Push, and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your knees rest down. Shift a little weight off your hands for a second if you need to. Next thing we're gonna do is add our cat-cow to that knee hover. Yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit weird, but you'll love it. So, same setup, hands and knees, tuck the toes under, kick your knees up 1 to 2 inches. We're gonna do 4 cats and 4 cows. Exhale, abs up to the ceiling. Next exhale, abs lengthen, but still present. 3 more. Lift
and arch. 2 more. Use your breath, please.
Holding it is so much worse, I promise.
Last one. And good, arch. Nice, pick your back up to a brief neutral before lowering your knees down.
Let's do another quick counter stretch in the wrist. Again, you're just kind of flipping it over to the other side, just to let it bend the other way.
Good, give each wrist a little bit of love. Because now we get to do planks. So, we're gonna get into our plank via the same knee hover. So all you gotta do is make sure you're a little crawled forward towards the front edge of your mat, just so your legs have whatever space they need behind you. All right, neutral spine, hands and knees. Tuck the toes under, you know the drill, lift the knees. Now, just step your right leg back, don't shift anything else. Step your left leg back, don't shift anything else, and you should be in the best plank of your life. Don't you love it? Let's take 3 rounds of breath just to hold it. Inhale 1, exhale. Inhale 2, exhale. Inhale 3, exhale. Now, little transition to stand. You're gonna send your hips up and back, very much like a downward dog. So much so that it is literally a downward dog. Now from there, you're gonna walk your hands back towards your feet now. You can bend your knees at any point in order to maintain contact between your hands and the ground. And then from there, just gonna soften the knees and roll yourself all the way up to stand, like you're stacking one vertebra on top of the other as you go. Once you're all the way up on your feet, just gonna reverse it back down. Drop your head and roll yourself all the way down. Just work with gravity for a moment. Let that take you as far as it can. And then if you have to, bend your knees to get your hands down. Otherwise, just walk back out to your plank. Excellent. Now, we're gonna add a little rotation to that transition, right? We're gonna add a little twist to it. So, just to practice, because you're gonna have to do it a few times, send the hips up and back like you just did. However, this time, there's a little addition, a little insert. You're gonna take your right hand and reach it towards the outside of your left foot. Yeah, you don't have to actually grab onto anything, it's just a reaching and a twisting action. Now do the same thing to the other side. You're gonna put your right hand back down, reach your left hand towards the outside of your right foot. Good, let's do that one more time on each side for practice, because again, you'll have to do it a couple of times. You wanna be able to move through it nice and smooth. It's very important to remember that on each side, there's still a supporting shoulder that has to remain very active. If you let that shoulder collapse, there's really no integrity in the position anymore. All right, and then from there, it's as usual. Walk your hands the rest of the way back towards your feet. Just soften your knees, let yourself roll all the way up. Maybe some wardrobe adjustments as you roll up, and then go right back down. Again, do what you have to do with your knees so that your hands touch the floor. Otherwise, just walk out to your plank so we can start twisting. All right, so we're gonna get into a couple of side plank variations. Yeah, the usual side plank setup is as follows. You're gonna have your right hand down, left arm up, left leg crossed over the right so that both feet are down. However, your alternate options for a side plank include stacking the feet, lifting the top leg, putting your bottom knee down, and for any and all of those versions, placing your elbow down as well. So those are all acceptable modifications that you'll be able to do all of the variations in. I'm just gonna be showing it this way, because I like it. So the first one we're gonna do is a rotation with the upper body, right? You're gonna take that top arm, and kind of like we did a few minutes ago, yeah, you're gonna reach it underneath your bottom side. It's gonna force your head, shoulders, and chest to twist towards the floor However, don't let your hips twist along with it. And then you're just gonna unwind yourself so that you're square to the side again. Good. 2 more times. Spiral the arm under. Good. Let the top half of your spine twist, but keep the bottom half stable. And then reset and restack. 1 more time. Under. And lift. Good. Now we're simply going to take a nice slow transition to the second side. Whatever modification you did on one side, make sure you do it on the other side. Yeah, so if you put a knee down on the first side, put a knee down on the second side. We're going to do that same twist 3 more times. Good. Spiral under. And then square yourself off. 2 more. Big breath out as you twist. And twist. Good. Unwind yourself right back to that nice neutral plank, and then we'll take our transition, hips up and back. Take your right hand, reach it across to the outside of the left foot, and then reach with the other arm. Left over to the right. Good. Just doing 1 reach on each side before continuing to walk the hands back towards your feet. Soften the knees, roll up. Good. Once you're up, you go right back down. Drop the head. Get your hands on the floor. Walk it out. Open up to your side plank. So version number 2, we're just going to add a lift of our hips. So when you spiral that arm under, at the same time, you're going to try and lift your hips a little higher, almost like you're creating as much hollow space as you can between your body and the floor. Right, and then everything's just going to come back to neutral. 2 more. Reach and lift the hips. And reset. Good. Again, reach and lift. And then reset. Take it over to the other side. Now, don't throw this transition away. Yeah, make it smooth. It's an exercise in itself. Same thing on the other side. You're going to twist a little first and then get the hips a little higher, right? But continue to twist throughout. 2 more. Exhale, reach, and lift the hips a little higher. 1 more. Twist and lift. Good. Come back into the center. Just have the briefest moment where you find that neutral plank again, and then take your transition. Hips up and back. Reach your right hand across to the left foot. And the other side, left hand across to the right foot. Good, and then continue to walk it back. Soften the knees, roll up. Once you're up, you go right back down. All right, y'all, we're doing push-ups now. Just want to be real upfront about that. Sorry, but not sorry. So, because we're twisting today, we're going to add a new element to our push-up. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to twist your legs and your hips to face the side. Yeah, so notice that I'm allowing myself to come onto the sides of my feet, right? But I'm trying to keep my head, chest, and shoulders square to the floor. Good. And then from here, treat it like a regular push-up. Bend your elbows in towards your side and press up for 2 more. Bend and push and bend and push. Good. Center your legs, twist them to the other side. Again, notice I'm letting myself come onto the sides of my feet, but don't let your hips drop down too low. And then from there, do 3 push-ups. 3 and push. 2 and push. 1 and push. Good. Center the legs. Take that transition again. Hips up and back. Twist. Right hand to left foot. And then left hand to right foot. And then continue to walk it back. Hands to feet. Soften the knees. Roll up. Good. Last time, rolling down. Walk out to your plank. Don't worry, there's no more push-ups. That was it. From here, you're just gonna rest the knees down, sit the hips back. Good, and then sit up and swing your legs forward. You don't have to be fancy about it. Just make it happen. All right, so we're gonna give our hands and our shoulders a little bit of a break, but all right, we're gonna keep twisting, we're gonna keep moving. So what you're gonna do for this, we're gonna take, really it's like a couple variations on something called a saw. So what you're gonna do is sit as upright as humanly possible on top of your hips, and you're gonna widen your legs to the width of your mat. Good. This is yet another situation where I'm not gonna dictate what to do with your feet and ankles, but you're gonna see me do a pretty hard flex just because it's my personal preference, and I'm always trying to lengthen my Achilles a little bit. Also, if you feel like you're sinking into your lower back a little bit, it's always okay to bend the knees slightly. It's gonna help you get your pelvis a little more vertical. Once you are in your personal modification, take your hands and place them behind your head. The first thing we're gonna do is, no surprise, a twist. You're gonna twist your head, chest and shoulders as far as you can to your right. I want you to go all the way until you actually feel your obliques start to work. Don't make it passive, make this a very active twist. And then over to the left. Good. Go to that place that feels nice and comfortable, and then you use your obliques to push it further. Good, one more, just plain twist to each side. I love anytime I twist my upper body to think about reaching the opposite armpit across. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but in armpits versus elbows can be really, really helpful as far as that cue to twist and reach a little bit further. Good, and then we add on. So twist again to the right. Again, find that place where your oblique actually has to work to do it. And then curve your head and chest down, almost as if you're touching or trying to touch your left armpit to your right knee. And then pick it up through the center, same thing to the other side. Much like the twist in the beginning, you want to keep stretching your upper body down until you actually feel like your abdominals have to work to pull you there. So it's not just passive with gravity. Good, one more just like that to each side. Twist to the right. Bow your head and chest forward. Armpit to knee. And then over to the left. Twist and over. Good. Back over to the right. Twist, bow the head and chest forward. Now take your hands out from behind your head, and you're gonna reach your left hand towards that right foot, and then just reach your right hand back in opposition, right? It should be a familiar idea. And then reset in the center, and take it to the left. Twist, bow forward, and extend the arms. So this is called saw because it's as if you're trying to saw your pinky toe off with your pinky finger, right? Just to encourage that reach. And then lastly, all we're gonna do is add a little pulsation to it. So twist to the left, bow forward, extend your arms, and then you're just gonna pulse it forward from your center for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, finishing up to the left. Twist, bow forward, extend the arms, and reach for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, back into the center. Nice, let it go, shake the legs out. It can be kind of hard just to hold that position for too long. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that and transition it to stand. Yeah, so you're gonna get yourself on your feet and essentially set up like a squat stance with your legs in the sense that you wanna be a little bit wider than your hips and shoulders, and then rotating your legs out. I would say like a third. People usually say about halfway, but that can even be a little too much sometimes. So just a little bit of rotation. All right, now we're gonna repeat that sawing movement on our feet so that it's even more of like a lengthening exercise. We're gonna do this one with our arms straight out to the side as opposed to behind our head, just because we want to feel like expansive on our feet. So we're gonna start with that twist to the right. Again, you wanna go all the way until you feel your obliques actually working to do it. And then we're gonna go straight into like the full movement. You're gonna bow the head and chest forward and reach your left hand towards the outside of your right foot. And then you're gonna do those little pulsations kind of from your center, right? So you can reach a little bit further for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're just gonna restack yourself back up to neutral in the center and then take it to the left. Twist, bow your head and chest forward, reach that right hand across to the left foot and pulse it for 8, 7, 6, 5, get a little deeper, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take that right away one more time to each side. Twist, bow forward and reach. Go for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then last time to the left. Rotate, bow forward, and go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, back into the center. Let everything relax down. Shake it out. Good stuff. All right, we're gonna I'm not gonna say finish up. We'll see how the time goes, but we are gonna come all the way back down to the mat. Totally different idea to finish out. I feel like we just had a bit of like a stretch moment. So let's do something a little bit more active just in these final moments so you can get back into that sensation of really feeling the abdominals. So we're gonna start in the exact same position that we started class in, all the way on your back. Now, okay, stay there. I guess I have some technical things I need to adjust. There we go. Ta-da. Of course, I'm having... There we go. All right. Somebody somehow got themselves off of mute. All right. So, from where you are, just gonna pick your legs up into that floppy tabletop that we practiced at the very beginning. And then you're gonna take your hands and place them on the front of your thighs with your fingertips pointing upward, elbows into your side, and just slightly lift it off of the mat. Now from here, the concept is pretty simple. You're gonna push your hands into your legs and then resist your legs back into your hands. And that's kind of it, right? We're creating tension in this position, which is forcing the core to fire, right? You can go all the way back to that idea of the corset I was talking about in the very beginning. This is one of those moments. You should feel that corset just gently tightening a little bit as you hold and breathe. You're just gonna hold it for another 3, 2, 1, and then release the pressure, but stay in the same shape, right, in that same position. Now all you're gonna do is lift the lower leg up to that more traditional 90-degree angle, and again, repeat, push your hands into your legs and resist your legs back into your hands, right? Create that pressure, create that tension, and breathe. Breath is by far the most important part of all of this. If you do not breathe, your core will not function properly. For 3, 2, 1, release the pressure, but stay in that shape. Next thing we're gonna add is a pelvic tuck. So you're gonna scoop your tailbone up towards your face, which should create a pretty hard low ab contraction. Exactly. Hold it, and then do the same thing. Push. Hands into legs, legs back into hands. Now it should almost feel like your legs get a little help from your low abdominals. And that corset should be tightening a little bit tighter. 3, 2, 1. Release the pressure, stay in the position. That includes that pelvic tuck, don't let it go. Now we're gonna add the head and chest. We're gonna lift into about a half curl again, like we've done a few times already. Whew, and again, we're gonna push. Hands into legs, legs back into hands, right? So the legs got help from your low abs. Now your hands almost, well, they should feel like they get a little help from your upper abs as well. Like the whole body is just fighting towards the center. And 3, 2, 1. Release the pressure, stay there. Lastly, lengthen your legs up towards the ceiling. Why don't we point the feet? Since I seem so against it all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. So you're gonna lengthen those toes, point those feet, straighten the legs, push. Hands into legs, legs back into hands. Upper and lower abs, contracting towards each other like they were trying to meet in the middle. And 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Just try and get your knees as close to your armpits as you can. Feel free to take a moment to rock your lower back in a particular way, maybe your neck in a particular way. We're kind of on that home stretch. We're just going to be doing a couple of like release positions. So take a second and just do what feels good. And then from here, we're going to set up into what I've been calling an active happy baby. Here's what I mean. So we're probably, well, maybe not all, but some of us might be familiar with the happy baby position in yoga. Yeah? So what you're going to do is take that same position, but instead of grabbing onto the big toe, you're actually going to hold on to the outsides of your feet. Yeah, make sure you've got a nice firm hold on the outside of the foot. Good. What you're going to do from here is very similar to that hamstring stretch we did a while ago. Yeah, like towards the beginning of class. So you're going to push your feet into your hands, but resist it, right? So don't actually let your legs extend, okay? But you're creating tension in the body, specifically in the backs of your hips. And you're gonna hold it for 3, 2, 1, and then relax and see if you can pull your feet and knees in just a little bit closer, or at the very least, just feel a sense of lengthening in the back of your hips. And then we're gonna do that 2 more times. So you're pushing your feet into your hands, right? As if you were trying to extend your legs, but you're not gonna allow it, you're gonna resist it. And hold for 3, 2, 1, and then relax. Pull a little closer. Excellent, last time, push and hold. 3, 2, 1, and relax, and pull in. Excellent. You're gonna let your feet go, lengthen your legs all the way out underneath you, and then lengthen your arms all the way out above you. Just let everything rest down on the floor. Kind of get the joints all set in place. Wiggle a little bit if you need to. We're gonna call this our Pilates Shavasana for the day. So don't overanalyze this. Just want you to feel your body really heavy into the floor. We're gonna do one somewhat active thing in this last position. All you're gonna do is flex your feet, back to that flexed foot I love so much. And then you're also gonna flex your hands. So I want you to feel as if you're reaching the heels of your hands and the heels of your feet as far away from each other as possible without allowing your ribs to poke off the floor. So you want to think of this as a purely horizontal reach, like you were getting pulled in 2 different directions. You're going to take 3 deep breaths, trying to increase that sense of pull as much as possible. Inhale 1, Exhale. Inhale 2. Exhale. Inhale 3. Exhale. Let it go. Let go of the tension in your hands and feet. Relax it. Shake it out. Roll out your wrists and your ankles a little bit. Do what you gotta do. Maybe a final like sort of fascial cat stretch in that position. And then just relax. Let your bones feel really heavy into the floor.
Because you're done. Crushed it. 7 o'clock exactly. My timing today has been amazing. Thank you all so very